Yo, what's up, all you burner stoners and potheads, and especially all you gardeners out there? This is Mr. Weedman and Big Earl with the Grow Hour. Big Earl, my brother, how the hell are you?
What's up, man? I'm doing good. I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. You want to know why?
Why?
Because I'm going to get to smoke this new strain you brought to me called Funkle.
Yeah.
Funkle, the fucking fun uncle, baby. I get to smoke this with you tonight. Tell us about it, why I light this bad boy up.
The Funkle is basically my life. I got a bunch of nieces and nephews. And I try to be the fun one. But yeah, it's Chem D crossed to Uncle Loom's Packy headband. Uncle Loom's Packy headband was just one of those that had looms in it, and a couple other things in there that I liked, and you didn't see it anywhere. I think I got it as a freebie, honestly. CSI has a partner company, a side company, maybe not even the same. They rep, what was it called? Pirates of the Triangle, I think it's called. And I bought some of their packs, which is where that train wreck we were talking about a while ago came from. And this came as a freebie, and I noticed it had loops in it. I said, I'm going to check it out. I don't see it out there on the market. Let's see how it goes. It created a lot of seeds. I haven't hunted through very many of them. I hunted through that Funkle and that peanut butter breath crossed to the Uncle Loom's Packy headband that you got. That Funkle was only a 2 or 3 seed hunt, or 2 or 3 ladies I ended up getting. And that peanut butter breath, I believe, was the only lady I got of that. So not a huge pheno hunt, but was successful enough to know I'm going to do another hunt on the line. Nice. So the mail was pretty nice. Everything I got, like all the phenos, everything was really nice. Like you had said before, the nose and the flavor on it isn't where you'd want like a pack of seeds that you paid $1 million for, but the effects are fantastic.
And I will say that the effects, the smoke, the clean smoke, the effects are spot on. It had a nice piney, limonene, citrusy kind of flavor smell to it, but also had a little gas to it, earthy too. I mean, like I said, when we smoked it the first day, when I got this from you, Susan and I were like, it didn't have that high pitched nose like the Chem Cheese Haze has, but that's a cheese haze strain. You're gonna have that huge nose. This had a nice, pleasant nose to it, but the fucking smoke was so clean, and the high was spot on right there. You know?
Yeah, that might be one. So it's a cross I'm excited about, but that Chem D was also a hunt I did, and it was an S1. And it wasn't a very big selection either. So I know, everybody wants these huge selections, this and that, and I just wasn't able to do it with it. But I was able to see that it was strong. I was able to see some expressions, and I was able to know, like, I'm going to try to advance this a little bit. So we might have to hunt that one a little bit, but I think it's got something real special in there.
The buds were nice. They were dense, nice dense buds, fucking tight. Had some nice good fucking trichomes on there too. But the buds were nice and dense and firm. I was cutting it up earlier with the scissors to roll in the joint, and you could just tell how dense and spongy they were too. They had some body to it too, so they were nice and had a nice little sticky finger feeling, which is still a little sticky from when I rolled it about a half an hour ago. So yeah, dude, lovely strain, the Funkle. So what are you smoking on, my friend?
I got a sparkling wine.
Nice. Love it. So love sparkling wine.
Dude, I love the sparkling wine, that rainbow sugar chilled wine haze cross. A terp that I've never found in a plant before. Tastes so good. Nice yield. Looks good.
I think I still have like 2 nugs left from the last time you bought that here. I say, like I said, I always save a couple nugs for later on, and how I store my shit. It usually smokes pretty well afterwards. You get a little more CBN in it, but that's okay by me. That's nighttime shit. But everybody who I've shared that sparkling wine with, I watch their eyes light up when they first smell it. And then when they fucking dry hit it to get the taste before they light it, and then when they get the smoke and cleanness of that smoke from that sparkling wine, but the high and the effects is just like it's like you're actually you drank a glass or 2 of wine. That's the kind of high it gives me. It gives me that nice wine high, just chill, relaxing, but able to talk and have a good conversation on it, which I think most people love. When they smoke weed, they want to be, if they're out, they want to be able to function and talk and have a good conversation. That's what that sparkling wine is all about. So kudos to you.
Yeah, I love it because it never lets you down. You smell it, you're like, oh, sparkling wine, that sounds interesting. You smell it, and you got this like really weird terpene on it. It's like, it's not gassy at all, but it's not fruity. It's not just straight sweet. It's like
I'll give you it's like a dry champagne. the smell of it, like, reminded me of a very big champagne, bubbly, dry champagne smell, like a Clouvet
Different.
dry, just a different weird bubbly effect it gives you too. So I kudos to that fucking. Did you name that strain?
Yeah, that's my cross. That's a rainbow sugar from
No.
Umami. Um,
What's rainbow sugar though? I've never had that
ooh,
before, but it is from Umami, right?
yes, that's a good question. So Umami, I love Umami. We talked to Umami. I
Yeah.
tested for Umami.
Yeah, he's
I
a good
talked
dude.
to him a lot. I got a lot of his stuff, especially his older stuff. Um,
I would call him the Mark Zuckerberg of cannabis.
yeah, he's good. He's and his everything I've ever. He's almost like terpene. Everything I've ever hunted from him is just terpy as fuck. Like
Yeah.
it's always something different. It's always like, oh shit, like yeah, there's the gases and the fruits, but like he has some stuff that and like that's how that rainbow sugar was for me. I remember, I can't remember, man, dude, I can't remember the cross. I remember being really excited about the cross when I first hunted it and being
He
like,
does
oh
some wicked crosses.
yeah, he does some different stuff. It's
That
not just that
yeet, that
normal
yeet,
runts
yeah,
shit.
that yeet I got to grow from that I bought from him the fem seed, terpy as fuck, man. I mean, I still have a little bit of that left, and it still stinks.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's a phenomenal breeder, and he's like I said, he's the Mark Zuckerberg. His personality, his persona is very Mark Zuckerbergish.
he's doing big stuff too now. I saw he just put out a book,
Really? Oh man, I'll have to find
a
out the name.
cloning book.
We gotta get him back on and actually
We
have
do.
him talk about his new book because he was great when we did that show with DVG and him, and then we went 2 hours and 45 minutes, the longest show I've ever done, and that was a phenomenal show. Two different. If you have not, that's like way back in the early days. This is before we even had the Grow Hour.
Yeah,
This is like when it was when
years
you
and
and I
years
kind of
ago.
first met, and you've been on the show once, and then we had him on and him and DVG on. What a clash of personalities! You had the fuck you of cannabis, and you had the fucking Mark Zuckerberg of cannabis talking. It was wild. That's fun. But
Yeah,
we went 2 hours. I never done it. I never knew I could. I didn't think I could go that long. And dude, and Mrs. Weedman was on the show too. And she's like, "What am I doing here?" I'm like, "You're part of the show. This is before. This is before the Grow Hour was even a thought and a name." You know, and when because you were coming on here and there, and then you and I had that talk about doing the Grow Hour, and it wound up working out. But to get Umami back on now would be just him and you and I would be great, just the three of us instead of doing a roundtable discussion like we did with him and DVG, and that would be a fun show. So we'll have to see if we can
yeah.
reach out to him and get him back on and talk about his book. I'm really interested in it. Um, so
I'll try to
anyway,
get
so
a hold of it.
you were talking about that strain,
Um, it is that rainbow sugar to the chilled wine haze, which a lot of people love. That chilled wine haze. That
Chilled
chilled
Wine
wine
has
haze
another
was
good
like,
one, another
was
good
it-
one.
yeah, it was everything you love about a haze. Like nice, airy buds, but not like dense still. But like it was just it grew really nice. It yielded really nice. It loved the light. Couldn't get enough. It didn't stretch really hard though, which was nice. It brought some like it had that haze sweetness, but like the berry on it also. But it wasn't just fruit. It was very complex flavors. That's what a lot of that stuff is like it's not just one thing. It's a complex. It changes when the joint smokes. It changes by the day. It changes from fresh harvest to cured. You know what I mean? Changes if you're
Yeah.
smoking a bowl or a joint or a bong or like they're like the flavors change. But yeah, that was I didn't hunt. I hunted out. I think usually when I do 100 of my own stuff, it's like 12 to 15 seeds. So that selection was only between probably like 5 or 6 females, maybe 7 or 8.
Right.
But I just remember that strain shining pretty hard. That sparkling wine was a killer.
Nice.
Um,
What so I'm gonna say this right now about that Funkel. I'm funked. I'm
yeah,
funked.
yeah, yeah. That's a great effect, man.
I said that to you before we even
That's good.
started the show. I was like, this fucking Funkel dude is a good high. Like you get nice and fucking steady. Like it's like total like melting high, you know?
Yeah. You
Uh
must get rid of that. That's the whole crazy. That's why
well
pheno hunts. How you pheno hunt? You can't just throw away a plant because you're like, oh.
well once again I'm
Also
gonna
rid of
say
it.
once again I'm gonna say because everything you brought over I've tried except for the Funkel. So once again, Mr. Weedman, being the pig that he is, kept all of the Funkel. Oh no, I gave a little bit to one person, but the rest I kept. I kept I
I tried to
like
give you
like
kimchi
well
taste.
listen like the bubble gum. I kept all that too because I'm a pig. I mean, I'll share a nug with people here. I'll share a nug with people there, but I kept it all because I'm a pig. When I see something new and I haven't tried it yet, and I'll always try it first before I decide if I'm going to give it to somebody. And I kept that whole thing too. And
Yeah.
I've given some nugs out of the bubble gum, and I've only given a little bit out of the Funkle, and I know why I kept the Funkle now.
Yes, man. Keep you funky. But that's a good one to work. That'll be a good one to work, honestly. Get a little
Yeah.
bit of flavor in there.
You bring that fragrance out in that.
Yeah.
Like I said, it was cushy. It was everything. The structure, everything about the fucking flower was beautiful. I want to like the kimchi haze. Every time I open up a bag of that or a jar of that, dude, people smell that like 2 or 3 tables down when I'm doing an event. And they come over like, dude, what is that? I'm like, that's my boy Big Earl kimchi haze.
Yeah. Shit is
If
crazy.
you get that Funkle to that smell of quality, dude, that would be a fucking, oh my gosh. You know how many people would want that you know how many of your patients would want that strain? It's everything you look for in the high. Gives you a little bit of
I'll hunt through
gives you
some
a little bit of behind the eye hit, but then from the neck down, dude, like I feel like I got like 50-pound weight on my back right now.
swamped. Dude. That's what those commercials used
I'm
to
like
be all
halfway
about.
leaning, talking into the microphone and shit. If you're on YouTube and you can see this shit, dude, you look at my face. I'm fucking like,
Uncle.
so anyway, you are a phenomenal grower, my friend, and you put a lot of work and passion into what you do. And we've talked a lot about growing and breeding on this show. And we've had plenty of guests on, but one we're going to take effect on this one now because after all your work is done, it's not over yet. After your fucking grow, your fucking everything, your harvest, your cure, your dry, you got to do something about your tent or your room or wherever you grow in.
Yeah.
Okay. So what we're going to talk about on this show is properly cleaning different stages of your garden. And this is important. This is the final. This is where you're basically, Big Earl mentioned this before we start. This is basically your IPM, helping your IPM out by making sure your tent is totally scrubbed and cleaned properly.
Yeah.
And not only just your tent, but all the tools and equipment you use inside that tent or your grow room. So you have to make sure that everything is wiped down because you never know what happened on that last grow, right? You
Yep.
never know where some mold might have hit somewhere because it was too moist in your tent or your grow room, and you have to fucking scrub some walls down, or you have to scrub the walls of your tent down. You're gonna have to scrub your lights down, or you're gonna have to scrub your fan down. You're gonna it's fucking that's the key to your next successful grow, right? The finishing up. Not only just finishing your weed and trimming it all nice and pretty and putting it in jars or 8 decades jars or grove bags or whatever you use. You know, I had to throw a little plug in there. Anyway, so and you think you're done. But an experienced grower knows, like, Big Girl, you're not done. Yeah, thank you. Shout out, Mrs. Weedman. 8 decades. But a newbie grower like myself may not know this is the next stage of how important it is, because you don't want to affect the next work you're about to put in the next 120 days of work.
Yeah.
You know, so properly cleaning different stages of your garden. There's some rules, Big Earl, right? There's the number 1 through 5 rules that you focused on this 1 to 5 rules that we got to make sure that you follow these nice easy steps Earl's gonna talk about here. So tell us about these rules.
These rules are basically what we had to tell people when they used to come in to the shop I worked at and talk about, well, like pesticides a lot of times, but cleaning supplies too. So first off, when you're spraying shit and there's particulates in the air, I would say with almost anything, you can, if you're just spraying oil and alcohol or soap or something, and it's not super strong or heavy, do what you want to do. But I would say if you're spraying something, get a carbon mask on. At least cover up with, like, especially if you're spraying something nasty, carbon mask. If you're just spraying like an alcohol or really anything, at least, a foliar even. Get a little mask on so you're not breathing that in. You just don't know from the molds that might be growing in your pesticide applicator to anything. Some dust you're hitting on, like, who knows? Just protect yourself there. On that same level, rule number 2, pants, long sleeves, gloves, glasses, a hat. Cover yourself up. Turn off your fans. Turn off your carbon fans. super important. When your room starts to hit like 70% humidity, your carbon fans start to clump up, destroys their lifespan. So I think they claim they have a 1 year lifespan, maybe 2 year lifespan. I can't remember. If you're running a super high humidity, that is going to drastically drop that. And if you run like an extremely high humidity with your fan on, like you just foliered or maybe is actively spraying something that goes into your carbon filter, they're expensive. You can get some cheap little carbon filters, but you can also get, if you have a 8 inch by 39 inch carbon filter, you just paid $200 for that thing. Like, you want to get the 2 years or the year and a half. Don't cut it out. So cut all that off. Try not to spray yourself with stuff. There's nasty stuff out there, I know, but even when you're not spraying the nasty stuff, just you never know.
Wear goggles.
Wear the glasses, baby. Yeah, get something on there. Just it doesn't have to be
Getting sprayed with
too.
fucking some kind of solution in your eyes sucks.
Yes, agreed.
Fucking sucks. That burn does not go away easy. You got to wash your fucking eyes out with the rinser and shit. Get any of those fucking cleaners or any of those solvents in your eyes. Oof. Protect your eyes and your schnozzle. So, but you don't want to breathe that shit in either, but especially protect your eyes though.
Yeah, no, for sure. And that's something that a lot of people don't think about. It. You go and you spray. And it's like, even when you're just spraying alcohol, soap, and like oil, yeah, it's probably not going to hurt you. But you just don't know. There's expiration dates on shit. There's, like we already said, mold growing in sprayers and stuff. Like, you just don't know. Another one. If you feel weird when you're gardening, leave that room.
I feel like Mr. Weedman a little funny right now.
Yeah.
Leave the room.
Just gardening in general. If you're applying anything, for sure, but just gardening in general, especially if you add CO2, if you're in a basement, there can be something beyond CO2 in basements that build up different stuff. Just if you feel funny, don't try to power through that shit. Get out of there, recoup. It's weird to have that as a rule, but literally, it's happened. People have passed out from stuff. Especially if you have a burning CO2. I don't know if a lot of people have those anymore. But back in the day, you used to have a burner in the room for CO2.
Ooh.
You had these 1,000-watt lights that were hot as hell. A burner that was putting off mad BTUs.
Shoot.
And you'd have to cover it all with the AC. But those burners, when something goes wrong, if they just burn and burn and burn, that CO2, I think it's 3,500 parts per million or 4,000 parts per million, starts to be fatal. And the room prefers like the 12 to 15. So it's not close by any means, but at the same time, if a burner is blasting in a room, it might get up there, especially at night. If it's not consuming any of it, like your CO2 raises at night anyway. Number 4, which we'll talk about everything that I personally use. I'm sure people use other stuff, but number 4, if you use bleach, don't mix that shit with anything. You throw a little soap in there, but like, I don't.
Remember the old cartoons, like the Tom and Jerry or the Bugs Bunny, when they would mix poison with something, and all of a sudden the fucking skeleton crossbones would come out?
Dude.
That's what happens when you mix bleach with something you're not supposed to. The fucking skull and crossbones comes out. Look at Mr. Reman's face.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the skull and crossbones. Like, you mix that shit together. Don't fucking mix anything with bleach. You don't need to. You don't need to. You don't even sniff that shit.
Yeah, exactly. And like, if you're in a small room, take some breaths. Even if you have a carbon filter on, get out of there, take some breaths, spray, leave, breathe a little bit, get back in there. I know this is a little overkill, and some people who have been gardening for a long time probably like, I do this shit all the time, that all the time. And I get it, but it's just like, just don't take risks with that kind of shit,
Yeah, because if you start breathing that shit in, those bong rips that you do are not going to feel good anymore.
How awful, right? One day all this weed is growing, you can't smoke.
Tell me about it, man. Come on now. You got to protect those lungs. We fucking hit bad fucking doinks and mad bong rips and dabs to the fucking yin yang. Telling you right now, you fuck up your lungs, you're going to be mad because all you're going to be able to eat is edibles and tinctures, and all you burners, stoners, and potheads and fucking old school OG growers out there that have been fucking ripping while they're growing, you ain't gonna be able to do that no more. Your lungs, man, keep those fucking babies safe and protected from the elements of what you're not supposed to be taking in. You know what I'm saying? You feel me, Earl?
Especially if smoking already isn't good for you. Smoking weed's better for you than some other stuff, lung health wise, but it's already not good for you. So if you're smoking a bunch of weed, maybe take it easy there a little bit, But yes, fucking protect yourself. Number 5. This goes for applying pesticides too, and this is something that a lot of people will question the efficacy, or not the efficacy. I'm getting words myself. Will question how well a product works because they don't get good coverage. If you are applying anything, cleaning anything, get good coverage, soak stuff, get it everywhere, get wherever you like you when you miss places, that's possible exposure, right? Especially with like applying pesticides and stuff, like underside of leaves, overside of leaves, everywhere. And by pesticides I mean alcohol or soaps, that aren't really, you know, as disgusting as what people would think pesticides, but part of your IPM stuff. Coverage is everything. Get it all, right? Yeah.
So what
Yeah.
can we use to clean with? I'm gonna say before you go through this list, I gotta before I forget, because I always forget the fucking, it pops into my eye because I've been wanting to ask you. I learned this when I lived down in the Keys from a bunch of uh, jet ski guys that would clean their bleach was no good for it. It wouldn't get all the mold off. It wouldn't get all the like stains off. It wouldn't get like all the stuff that like your body oils and shit, but especially the mold from using them, the life preservers you use on a jet ski
Hmm.
or a wave runner. And so I was down there one time and I was talking to him. I'm like, what do you guys use for your cleaner, man? I mean, he goes, we use pine sol.
Hmm.
So, and he goes, it's the one thing that gets rid of the mold off the off. So I use a little pine sol instead of bleach when I clean my tent. Now I don't clean all my equipment with that. I just clean my tent with pine salt, blazing hot water, gloves, so my hands don't burn from blazing hot water, and pine salt. And I scrub that whole fucking thing down, that whole tent inside and out. And then I use hot water, straight hot water with a cloth, and scrub the whole fucking tent, and get all that pine salt out of there. And then I let it sit for a couple hours, and then I go back in again with hot water again, and spray certain things down. Then all my equipment I use alcohol and shit and hot water.
Yeah.
But that I've been doing that, and I don't know if you have heard of anybody using pine sol, or do you know about pine sol? But that I learned this from some, and I knew these guys grew too. So so I kind of like listened to them back. This is like early '90s, so they grew, they had little grows in their house and shit like that. And so yeah, that's how I learned. But it really was interesting, the part about the fucking life preservers, when I didn't know that.
Yeah,
So
no, that's super interesting. I've never used pine. I know what pine sol is. I've seen pine sol. What is pine sol? Is it like a
it's like it made from the evergreens. It's made from the A and B. It's made from bee pining, and it's a little bit easier on the nose than bleach.
it's like a disinfectant like bleach?
Yes, yeah, oh yeah. I'll
Yeah.
send you a pic. Yeah, look it up just in case. Maybe I shouldn't be using it, but that's what I learned back in like '94.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're not spraying on your plants and it's cleaning stuff, I
No,
think
no,
you
this
can
is
pretty
just to
much use whatever you want.
This is just to clean the tent,
Yeah, that's
just the
interesting. I'll have to
tent.
use that. I'll try it out.
It's better than sniffing
I'll use
bleach.
soap.
It's better than sniffing bleach.
Yeah.
So
I wonder how a plant would react to pine sol, like if it got in its root zone or
yeah,
something.
I don't know. So I have to look at the ingredients. So, but go ahead. Sorry, what can we use? I
Yeah.
just wanted, before I forgot, because I'm fucking funkled. I'm
Well,
unfunkled.
look up pine sol if you're having a problem with like some salt stains and shit and trying to clean some stuff.
Here, let me see what you're
But
talking about. Where you're talking about everything else, I will
yeah,
look up pine sol.
uh, so I use pretty much 4 things to clean: alcohol, bleach, H2O2, and soap. You have them to use at different periods of growing. Some of them is like literally part of IPM. So when you clean, bleach is gonna kill like the russet mite, I think it is. Bleach is very effective at killing when alcohol or H2O2 isn't as effective. So if you're cleaning with bleach, you can get some different mites better in between runs, stuff like that. But first, like alcohol, right? Number one, I think a lot of people use alcohol. Isopropyl. If you don't use alcohol, you're thinking about getting into it. Isopropyl is what you're looking for. They make it in 99.9. I've also seen it lower than that.
Yeah, and it's cheap on fucking certain websites. You can get fucking cheap alcohol now,
Yeah.
like 4 gallons for like less than like $50.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's cheap. It works pretty good. It disinfects. It cleans pretty good. mix it with water at a 70-30%. If you have like the 99.9 isopropyl or something close to that, 70% ISO, 30% water. What that is going to do is make the isopropyl just a little bit more effective on disinfecting in general, but even probably killing, I'd imagine. Even though if you're applying it to a plant, you might not want that heavy of a mixture. But like cleaning your room or something, 70-30, the ISO will evaporate really fast. So when you mix it with that water, it makes it sit for.
Especially that 99.9%, boy. Woo! That shit goes and goes poof.
Some of those, like some of the my favorite at least pesticides, IPM products are alcohol, soap, and oil. And it's usually very little parts alcohol. But when I spray my plants with alcohol, um, I use like 5 to 10 milliliters a gallon. I don't know.
Why do you spray your plants with alcohol again?
So it depends on what point it's at. When I'm using regular alcohol, and I didn't write that in here. I don't know why. Um, it's a little bit different than some of these products because I'll use regular alcohol with some water, especially on like a strong veg plant. But it just helps me. It just kind of cleans the plant. It's not very hard on it. It's a pesticide. It evaporates very fast.
Okay.
If I'm spraying somewhere around, like in my flower room, sometimes I'll use that. If it's not like if it's like and I'll get into some of it, like like on the AC, turn it off, and have to clean some coils or something, But the big thing there is it evaporates then. So like,
gotcha. You taught me something today, Big Earl. I love it. I learned something new.
That's the nice part with the alcohol is like if you're cleaning something, you know that it's going to evaporate pretty quick. You're not adding such a huge humidity. You will add humidity. You still have that 30%, and that evaporate. But I mean, there's people that you could probably get by with just using alcohol. But I found that using the different ones in the different times, just look at it. And bleach is cheaper, dude. Bleach is like $3 a gallon.
Yeah, it's cheap. Stinks though.
So if you can use bleach somewhere and it's more effective, it's like, well, shit. But and that's just a common household bleach. I just find like a cheap one, 75 milliliters to the gallon. That's what the Center for Disease Control and Prevention says. In the lab, I've heard everywhere from 10% to 20%. Like you're actually cleaning up like a tissue culture, like a very small plant. So I'm sure anywhere in between those numbers or however you want to go there, you're going to be okay. Again, don't mix it. I think it's specifically bleach and H2O2 that really makes something deadly.
Don't mix anything with bleach. We'll tell you once, we'll tell you 1,000 times.
I don't know.
Don't mix nothing. Don't even mix alcohol in there. Remember, the skull and crossbones. Poof.
I like the bleach. I like with the bleach. I like to use the bleach to run through my lines and soak my tray. So I do like a 2-part soak, and I'll use bleach for the first part, and then I'll run it through with Sanidate, which is like it's an H2O2 product. You want to make sure to flush in between that stuff, but it's just really good at like cleaning lines. I like that bleach to soak on my tray, and I like to scrub the tray,
Okay.
And like let it soak, maybe not quite overnight, but scrub my tray in the morning, wash it down, run some Sanidate through there.
A little smacky smack, wash it down.
Yeah, run a little water through there, run a little Sanidate through there, run a little bit more water through there, fill her on up, and we're ready to go. The reservoir sits in all that stuff too. So like if I'm going to pump it on my tray, I'll let it sit in my reservoir for a while.
Gotcha.
My reservoir in between at the end of every week, I spray it down. At the end of every run, I scrub it, and it really usually once or twice throughout the run, depending. But usually a spray just takes care of everything for me, like a hose spray. Knocks everything off its spick and span. But I want to like sterilize it every run.
Okay.
Yeah, buddy. And the bleach is nice with all kinds of stuff. With bleach, a little bit of soap. Spray your room, spray the corners very well.
What kind of soap?
So Bronner's is what I think the industry would call a standard. I think they have a mint.
Dr. Bronner's, right?
Yeah, Dr. Bronner's, I think it is.
I've used that. I've used that soap. I use it actually in the shower too, so it's actually good. The lavender's the shit.
Yeah.
So Mrs. Weedman bought the wrong one. She bought the peppermint. Do not use peppermint on your private area. Woo!
It'll wake you up in the morning though.
Gives you a little tickle in the wrong area.
Double gum,
You
baby.
gotta get the fucking heater out to warm those bad boys.
Is what I think.
Lavender. Use the
Oh,
lavender one.
well, I think they have. So I'm trying to remember because one I use like a few drops per gallon,
Right.
and so like a liter lasts so long. And so I'm trying to remember if it's spearmint or peppermint. I don't even think it says it's for plants on there. But you do want there are other soaps. There's actual plant soaps, and maybe it does say there's for plants on there. I can't remember. But Dr. Bronner's, I
You
know.
can use Dr. Bronner's because I have used it to keep pest away too as part of my IPM when I was
I
growing
use
outside.
Yeah,
You
I
and I
just don't know
talked
if
about
they
that.
advertised that. Like
Yeah.
I used it too, but I don't know if they advertised it.
No, they advertise psilocybin though on their bottles though. You ever notice that? They talk
No.
about They talk about mushrooms on their fucking
Oh,
bottles. It's
nice.
amazing.
They're awesome. They're like friends of the community, from what I
Oh,
hear.
they're fucking great. They're great. But I've used that as an IPM. I
Yeah.
think I should have used mint instead of lavender because I think the mint is a little bit more stronger on the smell to keep the bugs away. So I think if I ever do an outdoor grow ground and if I have to use now I use a Damascus earth, so the
Yeah.
DE, so I use that now. So it's even way
You can
better.
go in
So
between them.
oh, that's
So,
cool.
so
That's good
like
to know.
washing off the top of a plant, like say you're going into some diatomaceous on the bottom, come around it with like the soap and the alcohol, and or the soap, like you said, in the water. But if you throw a little alcohol in there too, if it zaps a bug, gets it. Like
Nice.
the soap sticks to it, the alcohol dehydrates the bug, they're done.
Hmm.
Um, and that comes to coverage too. If you catch almost any bug problem early, if you see a deficiency or however you're recognizing this, what you think is a deficiency, and you catch it early, a lot of like you can beat anything. There's not anything where it's like, oh no, I got this. There's no way I'm getting around it. It's when things take hold, and that's why the
Hmm.
cleaning's so important, because it's pretty hard for something to take complete hold of a garden if it's not getting there till weeks like 6 or 7. Let's say you get a couple bugs. You're in a tent and you notice in one corner a few little spots for thrips. You're like, oh no, one corner it's week 7, it's day whatever, like let's say the end of week 7, like day 48 or 49 or something, and so you got a couple weeks left. There's Everybody's gonna argue, don't spray this, don't spray that, and you don't want to spray anything on your flower. But a lot of this isn't going to make it like poisonous or bad for you. Is what it's going to do is degrade the quality a little bit,
There you
and
go.
that's where you have the give or take. Are these bugs going to degrade it more? Well, if it's week fucking 10 and you should have cut down yesterday, cut it. And
And
maybe
all
get
of a
it
sudden,
where you
you
like
turn around and you got a fucking spider web growing on your fucking buds. You got 1,000 spider mites because you didn't fucking you should have cut it.
Well, if it's finishing and you're just noticing like a little bit of damage, like
Right.
you don't need to spray. And maybe you spray like a little bit right in that damaged area or really light on something. They make dips. They make a dip for PM, and I'm not saying these are even good options. I'm just saying they're there, right?
Right.
I think it's called PM wash. It's literally a dip. You can buy 5-gallon buckets of it and dip your flowers in it, and it's to wash the PM off your buds.
There you go.
I mean, it's gonna like pass tests. Probably not.
Right.
If it's going that way, but it's a product that's out there. It's something that people used to buy a lot of, and people don't keep coming back and buying stuff that doesn't work.
Right.
I've never personally used it. I couldn't say how good it works, but like a lot of people did. But I would imagine like a H2O2 wash or something like that would be very similar to that.
Hmm.
Very light H2O2 wash. The only reason I say H2O2 on flowers is because the alcohol can dry out your trichomes a little bit more, I think.
Okay.
People might even be saying, "No, that's stupid," and maybe that is stupid. Look it up. Um, don't just go because I've never done that before. But okay, so getting into H2O2 though, they make a bunch of different kinds, and well, at least 2 different kinds. The 3% at your normal home, put on your finger, bubble up in the cut, and the 35%, and there might be a 32% out there too, which is what you'd probably want if you're using it in the garden.
Hmm.
The heavier one. You dose that at 10 milliliters a gallon. Um, you can spray this on plants. You can soak seeds in it to sterilize some seeds. You got old seeds. A lot of times the old seeds have really thick shells, and that's why they don't pop. Their embryos are still good. Sometimes embryos aren't good, but sometimes it's just a thick shell. By the time the moisture can get through the shell, it starts to mold.
Hmm.
If you can soak it in some kind of sterilization and then do a very small like crack on it or scrape like the sandpaper on it or a little knife and get into the little side of it a little bit somehow to get water in there, you can make seeds germinate.
Huh.
um, that's only if the embryo is good. If the embryo is not good, there's nothing you can do. But if the shell's too thick, a little bit of H2O2, the 35 10 milliliters a gallon with 35%, soak it in there for, I don't know, you want to, it's nice to soften the shell a little bit. Um, and there are other things to soften it. But the H2O2, I don't know, hour or two, maybe overnight. If you know they're really thick, you know.
Right.
Um, but and you can watch like veggies in it. Some people
Okay.
watch veggies in that shit. Yeah,
Hmm.
but
Go veggies.
with H2O2, zero toll. It's the cousin, sister, brother, whatever you want to call it. That Sanidate I was talking about, the lines.
Yep.
They're very similar products, but zero toll is to spray around plants, where Sanidate is to run through lines and clean equipment. The difference is, I think they're literally the same. Like if you read their sides, Sanidate and Xeritol both say H2O2, hydrogen peroxide, or H2O2, or however it says it, and some kind of acid. And there's some
Okay.
different ratios and maybe some other things in each of them, but like their core components are similar. The biggest difference is that Sanidate will disattach one of its oxygen molecules and penetrate to clean. You don't want to do that. You don't want to spray that on plants. You don't want anything penetrating anything. Xerotol is made to be on a plant and to completely like dissolve, so the plant isn't supposed to absorb any of it.
Right.
If you're spraying it onto a thick ass flower, I don't know how. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm sure they would say, "Hey, we've done that and it's fine." It's like all, I don't know about Omri listed, but because it's not organic, but I don't think so. But it's like you're able to use it in facilities. Like it's
Okay.
safe to use. It's by like a science company,
Hmm.
BioWorks, I think it's called. Um,
Damn.
I should have looked it up. They have some great products. Um, Beyond like the cleaning, like the Sanidate and the Zerotol. Oh, BioSafe. Or no, it is BioWorks. Yeah. Wait, right? Well, anyway, Sanidate and Zerotol are the name of the two products that I like. They have a bunch of different products. Um,
Hmm.
Super
So,
dope.
so Sanidate it has soap in it, you said?
Sanidate has the H2O2 in it. They both have the hydrogen
Gotcha.
peroxide in it,
Okay.
and some kind of acid, dude. I should have looked that up on here. Because I know I always pronounce it wrong. I don't want to say how I pronounce it usually. Some
Right.
kind of acid in both of them. Um, They're just really good. They're more expensive than just a H2O2, but they work super well. I used to clean with just the bleach and soap, and when I went to that Sanidate, the first time I cleaned out my lines, like black water came out.
Oh, I got the
I was
mold
like,
out, huh?
oh
Because
man,
I used to have to clean beer lines when I worked in the beer industry, and you knew when someone never got their lines clean because that shit would be, especially a blue moon line.
nasty.
Blue moon line is so yeasty, and
Ooh,
the black sludge. If you don't clean that out, it's no. I mean, you gotta make sure you use the proper solution to clean
yeah,
your lines, and you gotta fucking push it through, and make
right,
sure and you gotta do it more than once. And that's what people don't understand. You got the black shit out, but there's some residue from that black shit all along that line.
yeah.
So if you really want to clean it, you should do it till you see nothing.
Hit it again. Yeah,
Hit it again. If
yeah,
you got black coming out, you need to hit it maybe like 2 times to
yeah.
like flood, because now you just got the major fucking clog up out.
So it's clear. It's
Yeah.
clear.
So yeah, just because you got the shit out doesn't mean your fucking pipes are clean. You know what I'm saying, Big Earl?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Good. Well, have you ever seen my watering the octobubblers that I use
I think you
on
should
the
when you
water?
told when I came to you when I came.
You twist them on, and like 8 watering stakes come out of each.
I think you showed me that. Yeah.
So I used to have, and I still clean them, but I used to have to disassemble those and like spray them down because I like to soak my stuff, and then like PVC pipes, anything on the side, I'll spray with a H2O2 soap, and I just, that's one of my processes of cleaning. And I used to have to spray in there, scrape them down, all that. And after Sanidate, I open it, I clean the little disc that's in there. I like wipe around a couple little areas, or try or like get the little brush in like a couple little areas, and
Earl's a
like
fucking Earl's
done.
fucking cleaning Mimi over there, baby. He
Yeah,
fucking
done.
shoo.
It saves. It took the clean. It took the. It was done. Like it's great. I love it. And I don't change my lines out as much either because I know that they're fucking clean and nice.
So let
Yeah,
me let me let
Sanidate.
me let me ask you about this Pine Sol. Now, like I said, the only thing I use it for is to clean the tent, scrub the tent down. But Pine Sol products contain a variety of ingredients: water, fragrance, which is a common ingredient in Pine Sol products. It can contain allergens, just in case. Sodium lauryl sulfate,
Mm.
sodium carbonate, hydroxyl cellulose, which is a common ingredient in Pine Sol products. Chlorants, a common ingredient in Pine Sol products. Citric acid, and then glycolic acid, and then some other ones you might find some different ingredients if it's a different type of pine salt. But those are the ingredients in there. Yeah, I don't know if you're a mad scientist and have heard of any of those ingredients, but
I bet they have a different name that we've heard of. I don't. I
yeah,
never heard any of those names though.
yeah. So
Much
that's the
more better.
ingredients. Like I said, I don't use it for anything else. It's never near my tents. It's like when I'm done with everything and getting
Yeah,
ready for the next grow. So, and it to me, like I said, I learned that when I was fucking hanging out with some fucking people down in the Keys, and that's what they used. So, and I
wonder
always
if it
remembered
work
that.
better than a bleach solution. I'll have to try it.
Yeah, well, I like
It does.
fucking. I try to stay away from bleach as much as possible because I just can't stand the fucking burning. Cleaning
I had russet
clones,
once, bro. I had russet
huh?
mice once. I had russet mice once, and
Hmm.
ever since then, I will. I do my bleach round, and it's like, dude,
Yeah,
russet.
you told me you had those Russian mice. You said those little bastards were fucking terrible to get rid of.
They were awful. They were so shitty, and like, it was just like, it was just so shitty.
Little
And
bastards.
little
So
bastard.
cleaning clones. Cleaning clones. Why is it important for plant and cube?
That I think non-clean clones or cloning areas or tools or whatever in the process that's not sterile is a big reason most people are unsuccessful getting clones.
Hmm.
There's different stuff. Like I've heard people be like, "Oh yeah, I don't open my dome for 7 days. I get 50%." And it's like when you do it right, you can get like 100%. It's just about like what's the best 90 or 80% or whatever you're taking.
Right.
What's the best fastest? What can keep my regiment the best? I planned out to have these ready to come out in 14, 15 days. These ones are ready. But if you can sterilize your cubes, I personally am lucky enough to have an autoclave that I can have been taking mine through recently.
Okay.
They solved a big problem for me. The Rockwool cubes, dude. I get pretty much any plant that I try to clones pretty easily, right? And that's not like even any like that's what a healthy plant will do with like a halfway decent procedure. Um, but then all of a sudden, this like green mold started growing on my cubes. I was like, I don't know where the f this is coming. Why this is coming here? And I would get it every now and again anyway, but not like this. This was like it would come on fast, and I was like, man, what is going on? And so I tried soaking them in H2O2, an H2O2 solution. I saw the same thing, which was so weird because it should have like killed everything, and it didn't. It didn't. I mean, it might have slowed it down. I didn't even document that part, but things still had a bad percent. Um, but then I saw this story on Rockwool having some kind of mold in it. I couldn't believe it. It was somebody. It was like Capulator, Cap, who made the Mac One.
Okay.
Um, I think he had posted how they did some kind of test or something, and then I saw a few other like, and with that, I searched it, and I was like, and there were other claims saying, "Hey, this Rockwell has this in it."
Hmm.
And I don't know why the H2O2 soak didn't take it out, but I went back, so I went away from the cocoa regular peat cubes for that exact reason. You'd see mold growing on those sometimes. Not a lot, but
Hmm.
we during the pandemic especially, we used to order giant like 1,500 cube boxes, and then we'd package them into 100 cube bags
Damn.
because we couldn't get 100 cube bags, and sometimes 50 cube bags too, because we couldn't get them, but we could get these giant bag boxes. So we did that. These boxes would literally have cubes with mold growing on them.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
we
crazy.
throw.
Because did they get wet or something
Yeah,
before?
they're all moist. They're all
Okay.
moist, and they're in a plastic bag, and it's and then that's in a box. But you put those aside, and you try not to include those and stuff, and a lot of us would take the like literally like employees would take them home and sterilize them. But and so I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do those. I'm going to go to Rockwool. How could Rockwool have anything?
Right.
And so it was just like, and maybe everybody's mistaken and it's something different, but it seems like even there, somewhere where you're like, this is completely sterile, right? This is like a glass rock string, right? Like even there, it seems like at least some people believe you can get infections and um, keeping your stuff clean, wiping down the cover, making sure the water isn't dropping there. Give it a little bit of air, disinfect everything as well as you can. Even dipping the clone like an H2O2 mixture. I'm sure there's a lot of different recipes online. Take the cut, or even spraying the plant before you take the cut, and then you don't have to make that dip. But like or when you spray it with the H2O2, put a little full of your food in it.
Hmm.
You know, um, the only reason I say H2O2 in this instance is because some believe, and I think it could be true. I think like from what I've seen, I like the H2O2 better. The soap, when it's so moist and the plant just gets cut, and then you cover it in a soap or an oil, I just felt like it was like almost like suffocating the clone. Um, where the H2O2,
Interesting.
I didn't feel that way. Uh,
Interesting.
yes. And I have used alcohol and soap to do dips, like especially really low concentration, like if H2O2 wasn't around. But I like the H2O2 dip. I like to dip it in my gel because the gel is antibacterial or kills. I forget what's in it, but it kills bacteria and funguses and all that stuff. I like to dip it in my gel. Wear gloves always. You don't want that gel touching your fingers either. And then I like to dip it in a sterilization. Um, if I don't spray the plant, if I'm lucky enough to get down there the day before, I'll give the plant a spray and try to sterilize it that way. And maybe give it a real light dunk.
Gotcha.
But yeah, that's why I know people use oils and soaps, but that's and if you got a process like that, it works. It's just the H2O2 was a little bit easier for me.
Gotcha. What about trays and saucers?
I like bleach and soap. The Sanidate maybe, but I feel like I don't need it usually. If it's a tray that has a reservoir, I like the Sanidate in lines and in my pumps. And if it's a tray that has a reservoir hooked up to it, and you got to run it through there anyway. You might as well soak it.
Gotcha.
So trays and saucers, different things like that. I'd say bleach and soap.
Cool.
I like that, dude. The bleach is just like fuck them mites, bro. Like it's you know what I mean. Like that's
What about your dehumidifier and AC coils?
um. I like H2O2 or alcohol for that. Alcohol evaporates, which is nice. Um, and H2O2, you have to kind of like hope that it dries or spray it afterwards with the water, wash it off. They make a cleaning brush too, guys. If you have anything with a coil, a dehumidifier, an AC, anything like that, they make special brushes for it where you can get in between those coils. They do a really good job. So if I like to use if there's no plants in there, they make actual coil cleaner
Huh.
or like some outside, or if there's no plants around, coil cleaner works pretty well. If the plants are in there, H2O2 or alcohol, um, I think it just depends on what's around, what I have, or what I have the most of, or how I'm feeling that day. But they both work really well.
Hmm.
Just if you just spray afterwards with the water on both of them. Try to wash it off.
Now this is tedious because I don't have a strip. I have fucking individual little round ones going through
Yeah,
lights. Ugh, it's
yeah.
so tedious.
So lights used to be just a bulb and a reflector, but it was so huge because that reflector was 50% of your light, and the reflectors would get dull and they'd get dusty. And if 50% of your light is getting 50% of itself blocked out, you're losing literally 25% of your light all in your reflector. And if it can't be absorbed by your plant, it turns to heat. So that's why LED, that's a big reason LEDs are so much less hot than HPS. First off, you run way less wattage. Um, but secondly, more light is actually physically absorbed by the plant, so it doesn't turn to heat.
Hmm.
But alcohol and wipe, like they make actual wipes for cleaning lights. It's just alcohol. So the
Okay.
alcohol, anything where you don't want a liquid to be, that alcohol is nice because it can evaporate. 70-30, it stays for a little bit, especially if there's some air passing over it. That shit is evaporating like in front of your eyes.
Ooh.
Literally, like under the hoods, we clean with a bleach solution and an alcohol solution. That alcohol solution, if you spray it and you come back to it in 15, 20 seconds, gone.
Gone.
That hood has this little breeze, and it's just like it just goes, you know. But
Right.
if you spray just alcohol, it's gone in like 2 seconds. It doesn't have time to actually disinfect.
Gotcha. What about stakes and bamboo?
I do H2O2. Anything
Okay.
that might be around roots, H2O2. Um, I mean, if it's gonna be like a tray or something, like the alcohol will work. But alcohol will kill roots. You never want if you're spraying. If you're, we had a garden at the grow shop, and we had some kind of bug in it, like a veggie garden out front. It was dope, dude. We had a veggie garden. We had a bunch of flowers on the other side. Like it was a monstrosity of plants.
Hmm.
And there's some kind of bug problem. Somebody sprayed out there, and they put it was too man. I can't remember. It was like too high of a percent of alcohol. But the big thing was there was so much dripping into the soil. It killed like a third of the garden
Oh,
because this alcohol will kill your fucking roots. If you get a little bit dripping on your pot, not a big deal. If you're flooding your pot, if you're spraying a whole gallon on one plant and it's all dripping into your pot, alcohol is not good underneath. H2O2 though, you can water every time. I've
above
heard,
the hood, it's good. Below the hood, no
yeah,
bueno.
no bueno. I've heard people talk about H2O2 like literally watering into their regimen.
Hmm.
You put it in there to keep your lines a little clean, keep your pot a little clean. You can't run bacterias or like beneficial bacterias or any kind of organics really unless you're breaking it down before you put it in. But people run sterile. If you're running like a deep water or something that's 100% water almost, or clay pebbles or something, even like rock wool, straight rock wool, you need that shit to stay clean. I bet a lot of people use H2O2 for that.
That's crazy. Didn't know that. Lines and reservoirs.
Sanidate. Yep, we talked about that already. Sanidate's the shit.
Nice. What about veg plant?
So dude, I feel like alcohol, soap, and oil is just really easy on the plants. The actual plant that's growing and happy and out, if you hit it like I like to hit it maybe a half hour before lights are coming on. It's my favorite time to spray because it lets lights control your humidity. You get that little spike, and then the lights turn on. They help your DHU, and your AC probably isn't even on until your lights turn on. So then the lights turn on, your AC kicks harder, your lights evaporate some stuff a little bit, and that spike is a little lower. Um, if you're real good, you could probably push it. If you got a nice air movement, probably push it like 10 minutes before the
Hmm.
lights. You just don't want shit to be real wet when the lights turn on. You can possibly burn shit.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I really like the alcohol, soap, and oil. I know I talk about H2O2 a lot too, but that alcohol, soap, oil spray is really nice.
Cool. Flowering. What do we got to do with that?
Um, so flowering's hard because a lot of people say nothing ever, but if it's earlier flower, I'm probably still going the alcohol, oil, soap. Later in flower though, I think that because I've sprayed alcohol later, I think a lot of people spray alcohol later in flower. I saw the trichomes drying, turning amber early. I don't think it was forcing a maturity. I think it was killing and dehydrating.
Mm.
And so for that, I'd say if you were deep into flower at all, like 4 or 5, I'd go H2O2, or more specifically Zerotol, the sister of that Sanidate.
Okay.
I don't like spraying anything. You know, if usually if you're gonna have a problem, weeks, 6 or 7, you can see it before that. A problem doesn't just like pop up. And so if a problem is popping up week 1 or 2 or 3, or I'm seeing the beginning of a problem week 1 or 2 or 3, I'm probably taking that problem plant or two out and
Hmm.
just trying to spread out. But that doesn't happen a ton because it's just like, I don't know, a healthy plant, and you go into it and you keep it healthy. If you don't start flower, if you start flower with an unhappy plant, you probably get that a little more often.
Gotcha.
I feel like when you start flower with a happy plant, it makes that flowering so much easier.
There you go. What about the room and veg or empty?
Um, Veg or empty, I fucking will hit it with everything. I'll I'll throw even a bug bomb in there sometimes. I don't get that opportunity too often, so even I like, you never want to do it at the same time. You spray bleach, you give it that full day to rest. But like if I'm getting the opportunity, I'm cleaning with everything. For sure bleach, in the if empty. If not empty, probably H2O2.
Okay.
And probably alcohol too. All separate cleanings, all separate spray. At least probably one scrub down, and the rest are just spray downs.
Gotcha. So with the cleaning solvents that you're using to clean your stuff, what do you suggest to use it with?
I just like those shitty ass rags. Those cleaners rags, you get like 100 of them for like $20 or something. They're at
Yeah.
Lowe's, any store like that, I'm assuming. Or I mean, if you got a large place like a power washer or a hose even, but and then those rags still. But yeah, those rags, I like those rags, and a brush is like 99% of my cleaning. The other part is just washing things down.
Gotcha.
And like a nice bristled brush that can get down into cracks and stuff.
Cool. Cool.
Yeah.
What's this ozone?
Ozone, yeah. So ozone's also, I don't know about controversial, but it is a bulb, and I think it might be able to be made another way. But what I use is a bulb that creates ozone. And the bulb that I use has a 15-foot sterilization range on the light itself, but then it also creates a gas, the ozone. Um, the light itself is really the one you don't want to be around. It'll literally discolor
Don't go
things.
into the light.
Don't go into the
Don't
light.
go into the light.
Yeah, and the ozone too. Like you don't want to breathe in heavy doses of ozone, right? But people literally do ozone therapy. I'm not saying hey run the ozone, and as long as you're not around the light, run the ozone all the time. Like that shit, I'm sure it can build up. I know high quality quantities is not fucking good for you. But I like to run on a timer at times that I know I'm not necessarily in the garden, but outside and around the garden, anywhere that plants aren't basically. Just because I've seen it zap plants just like in my own area, like put it in an area to clean. Maybe I like smoked or something. I'm like, oh, if people are coming over in a few hours, I'll put it in there on like 15-minute timer or 20-minute timer. It'll fuck some plants up. Some plants don't care
Hmm.
very much, but But yeah, I like to run
Nice.
ozone. Smells like rain. Um, it's okay. Like we run it in our lab every single night. I run it in my garden, like in my outside rooms, every single night.
Hmm.
Over by my reservoirs. I've heard of people doing ozone boxes. So what they do is they put an ozone bulb or whatever setup, little fixture. It's just a bulb, and you just get a normal bulb fixture to screw it into, right? Put it in a tub, and then you put an air pump in there, and you
Oh.
pump that air into water,
Hmm.
and it makes that water then a solvent that you can clean with.
Damn.
Supposedly, I've never done this,
That's
but
crazy.
supposedly what ozone is O3, and dude, I'm an idiot most of the time, so I don't hope I'm not fucking misspeaking this. But I didn't
Don't
write
do
it
that
down.
shit to me when I'm fucking having a drink. I'm taking a sip of my fucking drink.
I
Almost
just read
fucking
it,
spit it all over
but
your face.
if I'm remembering this right, ozone is an O3, and the reason it's so good at cleaning and taking away smells is because that third oxygen can attach itself, just like that Saniday we talked about. And when it disattaches, it will to kill whatever, like basically oxidize whatever it grabs. That can be like bacteria causing scents, or scent cause, yeah, bacteria that cause scents, or maybe if like the reason not to have it in your room, especially if you're flowering, maybe your terpenes on your plant or cannabinoids or whatever the hell it's blasting.
Hmm.
But it seems to work really well. We have a mobile one that sometimes we just disinfect different stuff with around the area, and then some that are literally on timers that go off at the same time every night. I like to do 15-minute intervals because I forget where I'm. Somebody might have told me it at the shop. The O3 typically is gone. Depends on how like polluted, whatever you want to call it, the air
Hmm.
is. But the O3 is typically gone in about 15 minutes, so that I don't get a huge buildup anywhere. I usually do 15-minute bursts. So like
Okay.
15 on, 15 off, 15 on, 15 off, 15 on, maybe like something like that.
Gotcha.
Or maybe just two bursts, depends on what you want to do. Um, I don't know. That might be not helping at all, but it helps not like miscolor the stuff around the bulb.
Gotcha.
When we were doing long ones, like plastics were like changing colors, floors were changing colors, paints were changing colors. Like shit, this isn't good.
Gotcha. So how do you clean outside the rooms first?
I mean, other than the ozone, and that's a big one too, dude. Outside a room or outside a tent, that's a big. Even out in the yard, huge. I That's how I'm almost 100% sure I kept getting russet mites was because of my yard. Because it was more than the reason the russet mites destroyed me so hard is because I did 2 full resets and still didn't know how to get rid of them, and because they kept coming back, and like I'd literally get like deep into flower and I'd get like one yield through, and I'd noticed beginning with my veg, and I was like defeated. Um, and I started treating my yard. Didn't change much from my second to third treatment. Like in between, like cleared out my veg, did
Hmm.
everything the same, but I treated my yard, and I have not seen them since.
Gotcha.
So outside the room can be, it's attached. If you work in a garden, if that garden has bugs, good luck not bringing that shit to your garden.
Hmm.
If if your garden has bugs, that's a big thing in commercial gardens. I don't think either they don't tell us about often, or they don't talk about enough. Having a personal home garden when you work in a big garden can be a huge liability.
Yeah.
It can be
To your home
huge.
garden, right?
Yeah, well, to your
Yeah.
home garden and your home garden to that garden.
Yep.
If you're not taking care of your home garden and you're just like, fuck it, mites, or I don't care about this and that, it's pretty easy to bring that in. That's one wrong swoop and your hair, whatever. And vice versa. If you're going to a garden, if you consider yourself a professional or have a respect in your garden or yourself or your gardening, and you're working for a garden that's garbage, and these guys are bringing in cuts and oh yeah, like, there's a lot of gardens, there's a lot of big gardens out there that have nasty shit all over them, and they just manage. We get by with getting 60-70% of our flower to market, and the rest we push to either through some kind of machine, or maybe we push all of it through a machine, and we make this wax and that wax, and we figure it out.
No, they ain't making wax with that. They're making fucking shitty ass distillate, cheap
There
shit
you go.
distillate with that.
This,
You could,
this, you know what I mean? It's like, and distillate
uh,
prices are fucking high.
oh yeah, here in
Well, I'm
Illinois
told.
too. Here in Illinois, distillate for a liter is fucking expensive as fuck still. And like, go if you want cheap distillate, you go to fucking Oklahoma. Fucking
Yeah,
I don't. Fucking a few years ago when I was out there, they were selling distillate for like fucking 500 a liter. I was like, what?
dude, just 500. If you're making edibles, so every gram of distillate is 1,000 milligrams.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, a liter is 1,000 grams, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so you're talking about, I don't even know what 1,000 times 1,000 is, but that many fucking, what's that, 10 million?
You're asking me to do math right now. I'm fucking
Yeah.
funkled.
Anyway, it's something. It's way up there. It's up there. And so it's just wild, dude. That's why whenever you see edibles that are expensive, it's like this shit better be fire. Some of the edibles I've had that tasted like duty, and I was like, man, how cheap an edible milligram is. you better have a good ass fucking product around that
Right.
high. You know,
Yeah.
it's not just about the high. That shit, that little bit of high. Some people are high as fuck from 3 milligrams of weed.
Yep.
You know,
And
so
some people, fucking takes them 100 milligrams of weed, fucking
yeah,
to get high.
exactly, for
You
sure.
know, just
Wild,
isn't.
right?
Yeah, so wild. So what about
Nothing else
cleaning
in
your?
the world's like that.
Huh?
Nothing else in the world is like that.
No, it's crazy. How do you? What do you got to do to clean yourself?
I like alcohol spray, honestly. I use that 70/30 alcohol spray almost solely. I mean, fuck bleach and all that other stuff. The alcohol, that's the only thing I want actually like touching me. Just alcohol, water, 70/30 isopropyl.
Gotcha.
They make all kinds of stuff before a room. You can do like sticky traps down. You can just spray the ground and like kind of step in it. You can change your shoes. You can do all kinds of stuff. But yeah, that alcohol water spray.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What about like before entering, like cleaning and treating the yard area? You taught me don't ever bring your dog into your flower room either.
Yeah, that's a
You
bit,
taught me
especially.
that.
Yeah, you don't want you was that's hair first and foremost, but like that's where I'm pretty sure those russets were coming from. The yard to the dog to me or to downstairs mainly or straight. My dogs I typically let into my veg. But now I treat my yard with diatomaceous earth. I spray my entire yard with diatomaceous earth a few times a year, and then I put it around my house a few more times a year. It's like pretty much every month through the summer. I'm fucking out there. If I see ants that I don't want, diatomaceous earth. A lot of ants I just let live if they're far enough away from shit.
Right.
But diatomaceous earth. It doesn't hurt anything ever. It washes away on the first rain basically, but it'll stay on some shit a little bit too. Um,
Yeah, I like fucking diatomaceous earth. DE is fucking great, and it's non toxic to your dog or cat or whatever animals you got or
yeah,
yourself.
yeah,
So it's
or
great.
bees, bigger bugs. It
Yeah,
doesn't.
bees
Yeah.
too.
So you have to straight up spray a bee and like get it flapping its wings. And even that's still a theory. I think I've heard that people be like, "Well, I'm sure it'll kill a bee if you do this, but it's safe. Bees will just walk right over that shit."
Hmm. Go
So
bees.
yeah. Breaks down to a silica too. All these
Oh,
cell walls.
that's crazy.
Yeah, can't overdose your plant on it. There's no downfalls to this stuff.
Yeah, this shit's the best. I love it. What about cleaning a cloner? Can you?
That's the question, right? Um,
The $1 million question.
People would come in and have these problems with cloning, and you'd go through the million questions, and all of a sudden you say, "Well, let's trade out the cloner, and they're good." Year and a half, 2 years later, same shit. And the theory that we basically had, and that's all it is, the theory is that there are these crevices and there's these parts of these cloners that you just can't get clean. Like you physically can't get in there, but even when you run the solutions, even when you do this and that, you just can't get clean. Usually it's in the manifold and the pump.
Hmm.
So to me, those both those parts can be really cheap, especially if you make it yourself. If you make it yourself, you can probably keep the main part of the manifold and just get new sprayers or disassemble it and soak it all. Try that or something. I don't know, but
Gotcha.
decently cheap. I would just trade them out. But if you had to clean it, I would. If you wanted to go through that, I would try to clean it and everything. I
Hmm.
do it in a little bit of Sanidate for the H2O2. I clean that out. I would do it in some alcohol and then soak that and run everything in that. I clean that out and then I do it in some H2O2. Or actually, I already said H2O2, and then I do it in some bleach.
Hmm.
And I clean that out and hope, But there has been, if you've ever done that and this cloner, no matter what I do, I think our theory always was there's just something about those cleaning methods that people can't get everything completely clean.
Gotcha. It's like that with humidifiers too. When you're cleaning out
Yeah.
your humidifier, it's just eventually there's a point where you can't get into certain parts, and you just there's just nothing you can do about it, and you don't want that mold and shit because mold does grow. Fucking not even just mold, algae grows in your fucking humidifier. It's
Yeah, all kinds
crazy.
of
Like,
shit.
yeah. So make sure we didn't talk. I mean, I fucking was like, I can't do this anymore because it was so. Before I started using distilled water, I was just using regular water, and it got all my old humidifier got all fucking like calcium buildup, and I couldn't get that shit off. It was like, holy shit. I mean, I tried soaking the fuck out of that thing with white vinegar too, and there was nothing having it. Scrubbing it, couldn't get that shit out of there. Like in this,
Yeah.
like this little flap that opened up and tried to get in there. I was like, all right, goodbye, I'm done. So, uh,
Yeah. That's one thing we didn't talk about today was vinegar. I don't use it in my garden, but I definitely use baking soda and vinegar on like carpets and drains and
Oh, I
shit.
use it for my humidifier. I
Do
soak.
you? Soak
Every
vinegar?
4 days I clean my humidifier out and I soak it. Where the water is being held, 2 capfuls of vinegar,
Nice.
distilled vinegar, and then cold water. Let that sit for like 30 minutes, and then take a little brush and right out. You're good to go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
buddy.
yeah. Don't forget. Don't. It's hard to get bleach out of your humidifier. Don't use bleach in your humidifier because there's still residue from that, and when your fucking shit's coming out, you're gonna get bleach all over the fucking place and on your
Yeah,
plants. So, white vinegar for me is what distilled white vinegar is what I've always used.
that's a good idea.
Yeah. So let
Yeah,
it sit, and then just take a little brush, little fucking toothbrush, and scrub everything around, and you're good. Because humidifiers do get algae in it. Green algae. It does, especially now. Now that I'm using distilled water, no, but before, it would. I'd get green algae and calcium deposits. It was fucking crazy. So yeah, white vinegar, distilled vinegar. So, what about cleaning flour post harvest? Can that fucking shit be done?
it's hard. Some people say no, right? It's really it's up to you, right? I don't think there's anything wrong. Listen, you have a harvest and you say, man, I got a little mold, I got a little bit of this, I got a little bit of whatever. That's on you. You know exactly how that flower was treated. If you want to treat it a certain way, if you do your research and you say, I want to use the H2O dip, I want to use this, Mighty Wash, which is a product made specific. It's a very weird. So I was always told the water was charged with a certain electron or something, or when you dunk a plant in it,
Hmm.
it kills the mite and washes it off. Then, just like that PM Wash we talked about not long ago. It's the same company, PM Wash and Mighty Wash. Um, but I never used it.
Gotcha.
We sold the shit out of it, dude. We
Hmm.
sold. It came from everything from like a gallon up to like 6 gallon things, and we sold more 6 gallons than anything. People would literally, what they said, they'd take the lid off and just dunk.
Hmm.
And so it's like, if I think transparency, as long as if it's good flour and it's burning good and nothing's wrong with it, cool, you can do that. And same for the H2O2. If you're like, listen, I just need to get this washed through because of something weird. I don't
Right.
know. And sometimes you can do that. Sometimes you see like let's say you get some kind of like leaf rot or something in flour, and it's like, oh shit, maybe I should, dose this with a low side on H2O to at least right before harvest, spray it the day before or something.
Right.
That's what I would prefer rather than on harvest dunking. I would prefer spraying it the day or two before harvest and then just trying to get as little as possible at harvest, but giving that plant time to kind of like expel some of that stuff.
Gotcha.
Um, but like I said, I think that if you were really watching your garden and there's so much information out there and you're getting some of it and you're seeing these problems, I think starting healthy flower plants is a huge thing. If you That's why the whole cleaning is a huge thing. If you have some bugs left over from last round, we talked about this right at the beginning of the show. Getting bugs week 7 and getting bugs week 1 are two different things.
Right.
Seeing a little bit of bug damage week 7, I bet. I bet I wouldn't even know how to guess the amount of harvests out there that had bug presence at week 7 and chopped at week 9 or something and didn't even realize they had bugs.
Interesting.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just it takes a while for them to build up, but once they get to that population, once they nest in, once you get eggs in the plant, in the soil, on your clones, on your young plants, your moms, your flowering. Once they get there, that's when it's hard
Hmm.
to get a hold of.
Crazy.
Biggest
Crazy.
part of that is recognizing it. Hey, I see a little bit of this damage. I'm going to treat this area. I'm going to remove this plant. I'm going to take clones off of this. I'm going to spray it right now. Take clones off of it, remove it, spray the whole area, treat this area like I have bugs. A lot of that stuff you can probably might not be easily, but by following literally a reproduction. What is their egg laying time frame? How do they move? How stuff like that. So, but cleaning flower post harvest, I think it can probably be done, but it will probably degrade your weed a little bit. And
All
people might
right.
have,
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen,
yeah,
and
here
all you
first.
gardeners out there. Earl, thank you so much for teaching us how to clean. Tell us
Sorry, I
about
went
this.
rambling.
No, man, you're good. I
Working on
love
get
it.
me high.
I love it. Tell us about the new project you're doing in the new Instagram, the Generation Zero.
Yeah, Generation Zero.
Tell us about it.
It's good, dude. It's all the tissue clone stuff. All we're trying to do is clean a bunch of clones, basically. Um, and we have clones periodically right now. Not even periodically, we have clones all the time, but the different strains are periodic right now. But we're working our library and we're working our rotation to where we're hopefully going to be able to have 50 or 60 different kinds of plants, everything from all the Regal Beagle stuff that I have at least now. I don't have the original Childwine Haze or Stanky Haze anymore. Ugh. I didn't have, there's a few plants where it's like, man, but we got some very cool plants that we're cleaning and we're bringing out. Some name brand stuff, some stuff that's 1 cup, some like Wi-Fi 43 and some 96 Josh DOG. And listen, this is all what we're told, right? So part of this is cleaning it and bringing it out, but another part of this is me flowering it out, which is a big part that we're through right now. So I have some really nice, like the strawberry shortcake we have, so nice, very like true to its name.
I can't wait to try that one.
Dude, it's a monster. The GG4 looks very good. It looks just
Oh,
like it did growing it before. Very nice. Everything just like the GG4, you know.
still got like 4 nugs of that left, and then also Igneous threw me some GG4 of his new batch too. I gotta
Nice.
save you a nug of that one too.
All right,
But
brother.
yeah, so I'm so excited about
Love it.
all the goodies.
But yeah, that's it, man. That's the Generation Zero, baby.
Make sure you follow Big
Um,
Earl on
yeah,
Generation Zero. He posts a lot of stuff about his clones and about the tissue culture and stuff. It's real fun watching the little aliens and stuff that he posts pictures of and the petri dishes and
goofballs,
shit.
man.
Things just fuck. I love it. So Big Earl, there was one thing we forgot to talk about. There was one cleaning solvent that we didn't talk about. Earl, you need to tell
Yeah,
everybody about the one key to the whole enchilada, the whole burrito, the
yeah,
whole fucking tortilla. Tell us
yeah.
about it, Big Earl. What did we forget?
This cleaning solution is called MG4, or I'm sorry, CA4MG 6000. Uh, CalMag
What's
6000.
what's it for short?
Yeah, CalMag 6000. It's CA4MG 6000. Shit is wild. Uh, Here's the problem with that is that if we would have started with that, we didn't have to talk about anything else.
Yeah, we would have saved y'all an hour and like 15 minutes from
Yeah.
listening to us. So everybody out there in the world, we love you. Don't forget the CalMag. Peace! Check out our cannabis lifestyle brand online at 8decades.com. Our custom smokes and accessories are perfect for your coffee table, bedroom nightstand, or kitchen counter. They're designed for you to show them off. The Canna community is also loving our hemp and cotton blend t-shirts, sweatshirts, scarves, and hats, finished off with our 8 Decades logo. We've got some awesome long-lasting goods that will be your favorite for years to come. 8 Decades, because a 9th decade of cannabis prohibition isn't acceptable.